Crazy Camp Life, Votes, and Tribals, the life of a survivor is more than you see on TV. So if you need the scoop on island survival, crack a coconut, put on some rice, and let's spill the immunity. Hey, everybody, look at us. I'm here with Brandon today. We don't know where Alex is.
Who knows?
He's trying to, don't fly Frontier. Sorry, Frontier, but that's all I can say.
Applebee's Frontier. That's where
right, exactly. Not even in the same. You know, something really funny. This has nothing to do with Survivor, but I actually went to Chili's.
Okay.
Because, you know.
Like for the first time?
No, it's been a really long time since I've been there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. So, you know, if you're looking for a place to go and you're really not into Applebee's, Chili's has a great deal where you get a drink, a salad, a burger, and it's like $10, $10.99 or something like that. So,
and you don't even have to lose paper, rock, scissors or win to go. You can just pay the money.
Yeah, and you're not going to come out saying I'm pissed either. So it's pretty cool. I had a really amazing dinner there the other day, and liked the bill at the end. And even if you didn't win Survivor, you can afford it. So it's a good deal. I'm pretty happy with it.
Amazing. And you don't have to like have millions of people watch your life and kind of dissect every little bit, like, you know, exactly. On the Private Spoken or all these other Survivor podcasts where, like, I don't remember a season where people are still talking about these, like so many just rivalries and bitterness. It's crazy.
There's so much out there, and I wanted to start out today because we're gonna.
I feel like I should be mad at you, Brie. I think we should have a tiff right now.
I know, right? We've got a lot. We've got a lot to talk about. I wanted to start off with Kelly Wentworth because she put out a video on Instagram that I watched this morning, and you know, she really, really is pissed at Jeff Probst right now because of the whole teaming up in an immunity challenge against Maria. And, you know, she had some really good points. And the one that really struck me is it's a very slippery slope now because you've allowed it to happen, right? You've allowed that to go on. So how are we going to take things moving forward? You know, back in the day, in the old era, whatever you want to call it, in the normal era of Survivor, that didn't fly, right? He wouldn't allow Sophie to, you know, get assistance from someone. He was pretty much shutting things down. And to let that happen, I mean, it was a huge advantage for Kenzie. Huge.
Yeah.
Like, It truly made all of the difference because I think Maria would have beaten her. And I get that, like, oh, well, we had to get her out. We had to do what we could. But it is an individual immunity challenge. You don't get to stand there or run back and grab a board through an obstacle course back to the beginning to bring it all the way back. That was like, it just, I didn't like it. I didn't like it then. I'm more pissed about it now. What do you think? What do you think about all that? Do you think it's an issue now?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what we should call the old school area or whatever. And old school, I think of one, just to cover this issue real quick, 1 to 15 maybe is old school, maybe 1 to 20. But maybe we should call it BH, before the hourglass, right? Because that's where things just took off.
Yeah, there we go. We need to crack that hourglass and go back.
I tell you what, I'm so mad about the hourglass more than anything else in my life because there's so many players, I think, in that instance that got completely screwed. So I am more mad at that concept that they dreamed of. Hey, let's change completely the game around early, and we have a strategy with it, and we're going to screw people over. This whole thing with Jeff, I mean, it's hard, right? Because we have the Sophie thing that everybody's comparing this to. And that's the House of Cards, and what is going overboard with the help, right? Or two people teaming up in a challenge, compared to this one where I can definitely see the entertainment value. I mean, the drama behind someone had to go back and help somebody out as much as Liz did. And that was in-game strategy and different things like that. And the Sophie thing would have been in-game strategy too, because they're doing the exact same thing that Liz did, right? So that's the hard thing, is they did exactly the same thing, or at least the reward or the result was the same, right? They took out somebody big, or they made sure they win. I'm not as upset about it as most people. And I think the big reason is because this is a show about lying and deception and cutthroating, throat cutting, whatever. And so with that, I have to take that step back and realize this is a show of deceit and deception, and sorry, not sorry. And in certain situations, if somebody did that later on, they'd be cursed by it. But in this case, like, no one was cursed by, Liz doing that. I don't think because Liz did that, she was in any more trouble later on in the game, right? So it's top 5 is such a weird place, right? Where you kind of have to choose a challenge where you can't do anything. It has to be almost like an endurance challenge where no one can help you out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think it should have been, and that's maybe what production will have to do moving forward, because right. I really yes, it was great TV. Yes, it was exciting. We Maria was such a favorite, and we don't like the way she voted at the end. And everyone, there's so much controversy. She has gotten so much hate from people because she didn't vote for Charlie. And really, it's you can vote for whoever you want for whatever reason you want. That's your privilege when you sit on the jury, right? That's a whole nother thing. But when it comes to an immunity challenge this late in the game, and you can't see your path forward without kind of cheating, I don't like it. I think you got to beat the person. You got to beat the person. If they make it through because you didn't have the wherewithal to take them out earlier when you had an opportunity to do that, then that's on you, right? And so you don't get to then break the rules of the game and run back and you said overboard earlier. I'm like, there's that board, because that's what it was.
There's a board. Accidental dad pun, baby.
Yep, that's what it was. But yeah, so I really don't. I want to see what this does in the future, because I really think Jeff should have done something. I really think he should have said, no, you can't do that. But you have to let this play out, because honestly, it just worked in your favor at that point. Like, you just got lucky that Liz was good thinking on Liz's part to run back. But Jeff should, and from what Kelly was saying, Jeff has no problem yelling at you when you do something wrong. He will tell you right away.
See, and that's another part of all this, right? Did Kenzie ask Liz to go get it? I don't think that took place.
No.
So who cheated in the situation? Like, who do you fault? Or you could just say Jeff, like Jeff could have said, hey, don't do that. Or, but who gets disqualified in that case? Like, if she does that, do Liz and Kenzie get disqualified because Kenzie was a bystander and a receiver of that? I don't know what happens if Liz does run off and get it and bring it back, and Kenzie doesn't use it or whatever. Because Kenzie had to listen to Liz in order to cheat. So then when Kenzie started listening to Liz, then of course she's now, if this is cheating. I still don't know what, it'd be important to me. Has anybody listed what the exact rules were of this?
No, I haven't seen it. I think it definitely falls on Jeff. He should have stopped her before she went running for it. That was his opportunity to say, no, Liz, you can't help, right? And she would have stopped, and she wouldn't have been able to do anything. And so I don't think it falls on Liz. I think that was extremely smart thinking on Liz's part. I'm going to go. I read the clue. I understand it. I'm going to go get that board. That was fast thinking, because she didn't know.
Well, how about this too? Is what if, how did Liz know? Did Jeff say, hey, she's now reading this clue and she has to go back and get this board? Or how did Liz know that part of this challenge was to make sure that Kenzie got a board? Do you know? Do you remember?
Yeah, she just read the clue. Like
okay.
that was the puzzle they fixed. They did that basic thing that gave them the clue on how to do things. And that's when Liz realized that Kenzie needed that board. How many holes are in the board from the beginning? And so she realized when she read that, she had to run back and get the board for Kenzie as Kenzie was doing something else. There's so much in the chat. I go ahead and finish that, and then I want to get to these comments.
Yeah, I wonder if, because I can see both sides. This isn't one of those opinions where I'm just like, I disagree with those people who think that this was cheating and Jeff should have stopped it. I don't necessarily disagree with those people, but also at the same time, I see that this is, you know, the fact that Liz would sacrifice this. And I think we've seen this in multiple challenges. I think the part that made the Sophie thing such a different case is that Sophie kind of was asking for somebody to get her to win. And hey, do this for me, do this for me. And I think that may have been different. Liz didn't ask Jeff. There was no question asked. She just kind of darted and did it. And like, I think it's one of those things where I would rather watch a basketball game or a football game. And I don't want that whistle to blow unless there is, you know, complete facts that, you know, the play has to be stopped because there was a foul. In this situation, obviously Jeff knew what she was doing, but how do you do it without a true rule written about this? Obviously there's going to be a rule written about this, or there should be. And that's when we should start questioning, okay, you're just leaving this upper chance now. So my guess is there's going to be a rule, and Jeff is going to say something on episode 5 that says, okay, now here's what you can't do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it should be, because it wasn't spoken and laid out in front of you, you didn't know. Like, I will look similarly, just to throw this out there, and then I want to get to these comments. If any of you watched Rob's Deal or No Deal Island, I'd call it that because Rob was basically the whole show. And I loved him on there. I watched it faithfully. I loved it.
This is Rob Mariano season 6 is what it was.
Yes,
right?
It was Rob. Yeah, Rob Mariano, Boston Rob. And at the final challenge, they very clearly stated you cannot look at another person's tablet thing that they were working on, right? You cannot look at that. It was like how many suitcases were opened, or whatever the question was, how many suitcases were put on the board throughout the entire season, right? And so Rob was trying to figure it out, and he broke the rules, and he looked to the person next to him, and he had to pay a penalty for that, right? And he ended up losing and going home because of it. And so, but it was very clearly laid out. We all knew you can't cheat by looking at your neighbors, you know, what they're doing. So, and he broke that rule, and then he played like, I didn't know. And I'm like, well, maybe because production said you can stay on the show the whole time, just screw up at the end so we can get you out of here. You can't win. That's kind of my opinion of it. Not true. Right. It's a rumor. Rumors, not true. I don't know. But like, that was clearly stated. It wasn't clearly stated. We don't always see what's clearly stated. Right. Because they only show us so much at these, right? Yeah. So we're unsure. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the details, but I kind of don't want to see that happen again. Personally, I don't want to see that happen. And the way to avoid that is to, at the end, like, change up so that that's not an option for people, right? So
See, I'm, and again, like, for me, I'm one of those that some of the best players, my favorites, have been those who have found the loopholes of the game. Some of those that broke the game. So for me, I'm like, all right, like, that was probably my favorite Liz moment of the whole entire season.
Yeah.
Besides her, you know, crying about the Applebee's. I thought that was a heads up play. And I know we've been dogging Liz throughout some of this. I think it sounds like part of that is the edit, because a lot of people are saying that Liz wasn't as Liz out there, and that the edit was very, this is Liz at her biggest, right? So, you know, I want to make sure I say to Liz, that was awesome and well done for thinking. But then you're right, it does go back to Jeff Probst and Survivor saying, okay, so now that part of the game has been broken, if they believe it has been, how do you fix this?
Exactly.
Do we get some of our comments?
Yeah. I want to get to Frank's comments. But similarly, if Maria handled Liz's rock, paper, scissors moment, Liz may not have targeted Maria the way she did. If Maria can be bitter with her vote, Liz can be bitter to Maria. I agree. And I think one 1000%. That's why she did it. She didn't want Maria to move on, and she was pissed. We heard she was pissed many times, loudly. And I agree with Frank on this one. What is your take on it?
Yeah, and I think Liz saw her do that as her credence to her winning the season, because we heard her say, you know, I would have beat you guys. And I think that at that moment when she helped Maria lose, no matter who she made win, that was kind of her, I got you, Maria. I was the one that kicked you out of this game. I now have a game set match. This is Liz's game.
100%.
So I agree, and I'm okay with bitterness. If I'm okay with angry jurors, because again, you are the players that put them there in the first place. So if you truly know people, and this is a very relational game, anyways, then you know, be bitter, but don't be mad that other people are bitter either. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. What comes around goes around.
Yep.
That's how it works. Brennan saying it shows how strong Kenzie's social game was, in my opinion. I think Kenzie did have a great social game. That was her forte.
Kenzie had a great social game, but I think if Charlie, well, let me ask this. Do you think if Charlie was in second place and he was about to lose to Maria, do you think Liz would have gone to get Charlie's piece?
If she was bitter with Maria, she would have helped anyone that she could have. Okay. I think she saw Kenzie was really close. I also think that Kenzie did have a good social game, and she was closer to, I think she was closer to Liz, you know, Kenzie and Liz, because Kenzie's come out and said a lot of really nice things about Liz afterwards. I think we don't always see all of the connections and how strong they are. We were, you know, Liz was misrepresented. I don't know. Banu apparently might have been slightly as well. So I, you know, I don't know if she would have done it for Charlie. I think that the goal was to get Maria out.
That's my question is like, who would have Liz gotten that board for? And I think at the top of that list, it would have been Ben and Kenzie, obviously, because I think that they were lower on the rung. I don't think that was, I thought Kenzie had a great relational game. I really do. But I don't think that because of Kenzie's relationships, that is why Liz went to go do that for Kenzie and her relationship. I think it was exactly what you said, against Maria more than it was for Kenzie.
Yeah. Brennan says, no, he wouldn't have helped Charlie. And then he said, well said, Brandon. So that's awesome. I want to go back here now to what Frank had said. People copy and cheat on games in various occasions, so a precedent was already set.
It's Survivor. It's to outwit, outplay, outlet. I mean, it's part of the pillar, right? To outwit is to deceit, to manipulate, to find the loopholes. This is what the show is about.
And I do love that about the show. I really, really do. I just want it to be a consistent rule. I just want it to be like, what are you saying? Because I did see, you know, Sophie's, she put it out there and she showed the clip and I watched it and I'm like, yeah, so it's either it is or it isn't, and things can change over time, and Survivors change. We change the days, we change the amount of time, we've changed, you know, all of these different things, so that can change as well. But as viewers, as fans of the show, we would just like to get the heads up on that. Like, if that's the rule, if you can help someone else, then make that clear. Well, apparently it's been made clear, so yes, you can, because they've decided that. But before it wasn't okay. So I think that's where this confusion comes in, and this like, hey, that's cheating. You wouldn't let other people do it. Why are you letting her do, like, you know what I mean? So
well, and this goes all the way back to season 1, where there was speculation whether or not Rudy was able to stay on the island longer, because he was so well liked. So there's rumor that they did something, I think, with Kelly's vote or some other chick that was supposed to go longer. Gretchen, that's who it was, Gretchen. And I don't remember anymore. But they manipulated the show a little bit to have Rudy stay on a little bit. So it's always been this thing that you never know when production is toying with the game, because I think it says in all the notes that, hey, at any given time, we will change things up. So that's very difficult to to do on such a subjective game that does change a lot.
Yeah, and I like Brennan's comment here. Although it's funny that Liz voted for Charlie in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And has she said why she voted for Charlie?
I haven't seen it. She's been under so much scrutiny for so many things that I don't know how much has come out, though I know she has done interviews. So I haven't watched them. I've just been too busy to see. So I'd be interested in finding out. Brennan says, we have seen Jeff make rule changes in response to Survivor contestants can't sit out back-to-back challenges. So I'm sure they will make that change for the upcoming seasons. I agree. And I liked the can't sit out back-to-back challenges.
Yep, I do too.
I like that a lot because, the last person picked for dodgeball is always the set, it sucks, right? And you don't want to.
Yes. And here's the thing, as much as I love that rule, because I really do love the rule, that the anti-Sandra rule, right? That I'm glad to see more players playing and getting involved. That's great because it shows strengths and weaknesses, and you have to be strategic with how you do this. I do want to watch the amount of rules you put in a game that's all about pretty much like primal, like you're putting on this island and you're kind of making your own society. So to me, if you add way too many rules, then that just waters down that whole primal, make your community type thing.
Yeah. Well, and I would like to see, let's have some of the really truly individual challenges that you can't possibly get help from towards the end, right? Let's do more of those. Let's climb a pole and hang there. And, there's no help on that one, except for people cheering you on, then that's perfectly okay. So I think, but we did get better challenges at the end of the season. And so props to them for giving us, we didn't see Samotion or whatever that thing is called for the millionth time. Yeah. We like to see new things that are coming around. And that final challenge that Ben won, like you couldn't have gotten help from that either. So to be honest with you, so you're in it to win it. And can I just say I really like the time penalty that was given in that challenge. You're not out if you drop a ball. Mm-hmm. You have to take a time penalty. So you're still in the game. So you're not able to help anyone else because you're never really out. You're just watching your thing go.
Yep. Well, and here I think I have a remedy. If we're during the correction part of our town council here, Bree, that, what if the rule is you're not allowed to touch any part of anybody else's element to the challenge? So she could have grabbed her board or go count her board from afar, but she can't bring it up because I think that kind of creates obstacles throughout the challenge. What's it to Mary if she was to go and take Kenzie's board and chuck it, in the ocean so that she can't count a board?
Right. Or take and run off with it. Hey, I'm out of here. Take the board. Can't count.
See, she rips it in half with her knee or something like that. So I can see that rule change. I can see, hey, you're not allowed to touch any aspect of another person, because that would be, I was thinking, how would you in that commotion, whatever it's called, with the ball game, you could just go over there and just push over the object of the other person and bye balls, but you're not allowed to do that, right? So I wonder if there's this piece of, hey, don't touch anything that belongs to somebody else.
Yeah, and that would solve a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
that would actually. Yeah, I love it. So I wanted to get into a little bit on the Maria vote and all the crap that she's getting. And also I'm going to throw Q in there with that because Q got a lot of hate. Brandon's going to fix Survivor. I agree. I think he will. Executive producer, bring Brandon on board. I'm all for that.
Have me on 49 first, and I'll fix after 50. We'll do that.
There we go. Yeah. I do want to talk about that because I mentioned it earlier that Kelly Wentworth said, when you make it to the jury, you can vote for whomever you want to vote for. So we see bitter juries that will just vote for the person they hate less. Yep. We've seen juries where, everyone says, oh, the right person didn't win many times. That they're like, oh, they should have won and they didn't. And I think it goes down to the jury can vote whatever they've earned their spot on the jury, and they can make their own choices. Yep. Should they vote for the most deserving in their minds? Yeah, but
see, and that's where this whole 3 tribes instead of 2 thing, because I think we're all in the same camp with, hey, let's go back to 2 tribes, is that once you have 3 tribes, you aren't necessarily responsible for putting people on the jury as much, because there have been tribes that weren't able to eliminate anybody from the jury. So that is a complete game change. And maybe more teams should think about that and not win as much, like we've seen this season where the whole entire tribe was diluted by the end of the game. So yeah, I can definitely see how, there is an argument for, hey, I wasn't able to choose anybody for this jury. Like, we won all the games and I didn't get to do that. Like Charlie, did Charlie put anybody, kick him off before the jury? Except because one got medevaced. Yeah, so he didn't get the chance to make his jury, right?
Yeah.
So that becomes difficult. You know what I'm saying?
It does. I love the dynamics of a larger tribe, because you have to really, like, it's a much bigger chess game, right? Like 3 tribes, you're kind of just playing checkers, right? Yep. But when you get to 2 tribes, which I think they should, it's more of a chess game, because you really, really have to know what every single piece is doing. Yep. You really have to plan. You have to split votes. You have to figure things out a lot better. And you have to have better strategy and game management when you have that many people. Things don't necessarily, you don't need 3 or 4, 3 people, which on a tribe of 6, you could just with 3, you're going to go to a tie. Yep. Right. And that to me is just it's easier to form those 3 groups of 3, mm-hmm. or even the 2 and still have dominance. Yep. That when you're in this tribe of 9 people, yep. you really have to, it makes you play the game harder. And yep. I personally like the 2 tribes better. I'd like to see that again. Yep. But who knows?
And I'm even okay with how they did the Winners at War, with 2 tribes to start off with, and then we'll bring in the 3 for about a vote or 2, and then we'll bring it to a merge. Just because then you get that, small pocket alliances and small pocket tribe, and it's hard to hide during that time. But give them opportunity to hide first if they need to, or at least give everybody the option of trying to figure out, okay, who do I not want to be part of this jury? Because that's typically when you see the big cutthroat moves, because you don't have to worry about those people anymore, so you care less about their feelings. And I think every single player should have to deal with that somehow before you have everybody on the jury. You don't get that opportunity. But maybe teams that win all the time should consider that as well when they're playing. Is if you really don't want to see somebody at the jury, maybe you lose on purpose more often. I don't mind people losing on purpose either. It's fun to watch. So.
Yeah, I like this comment from Frank. My only disappointment in Maria is when she stated in Exit Press that she felt confident sitting with anyone in the final 3 and winning. Charlie was her biggest competitor, but did not award as such. Yeah. So she recognizes that Charlie was, if she didn't win, that Charlie would probably win because he was the next best choice, and yet didn't vote for Charlie.
But one thing we've learned, and that's, why you have the tribal councils, part of winning is being able to articulate your story and to know who you put up there to articulate your story to. Now, I think for me, the only part I'm mad at with Maria is her saying, hey, go to the end, you got my vote. That's the part for me that I'm unsettled with. And that's kind of where you have to say, hey, yeah, I can take this personally now because you didn't have to lie to me, and you changed, and you did. But I think during this game, we kind of learned that it takes a while for Maria to develop a true thought on something, which is fine. You can take a while. And that's, I think, why she asks a lot of questions, is because she wants time to completely articulate what she's trying to say. But yeah, I think the only part of Maria's game I'm mad at is the fact that she didn't have to lie to Charlie, and she said point blank, I'm voting you.
And then Didn't.
And
so
then,
I like, and here's Brennan saying, I actually don't fault Maria. She was moved by Kenzie wanting to start a family, maybe had some animosity towards Charlie, or some combination of the two. It's her jury vote to do with as she chooses. 100% agree. And I do think that some people come in like Tiff. So she came in, Kenzie's her girl. I'm voting for Kenzie. I don't care what happens at Final Tribal. I am on the Kenzie train. I am voting Kenzie, and that's the way it is. Yeah. And there's other people that show up at Tribal undecided or thinking they're going to vote one way. And then after listening to Tribal, when people are actually owning their stuff, like they're saying, I did this, or I screwed that up, or I did like all of these different things. Yeah. And we saw Kenzie definitely own mistakes in that and was like, yeah, I did horrible there, right? Like she owned it. I think that really does lift you up with the jury. If they're looking for reasons to vote for you, that is something that if you can go in there and say, yes, I made a mistake, right? Instead of a pocket full of excuses, which we deal with all the time, right? You got a coworker or something and you're like trying to get stuff done and they're like, oh, but I had a headache. Oh, but I was busy. Oh, I couldn't get to it. Oh, and it's like, but I found a way to get to it. I found a way to do the thing, right? So when someone owns their mistakes, I think it definitely lifts them up. So I saw that, and that could be part of it. I think people do get swayed if they're really looking for what did you do? Yeah. Now, is that like, that's a pretty fair assessment, I think, with most of them.
Yeah. And I think also a part of that is I have undiagnosed ADHD. So like I could have picked Kenzie and 5 minutes later, I could be like, well, I really see the Charlie side. And then I could go to Charlie. And, you know, she just got eliminated in a very unique way. And we've even talked about it, maybe even in a legal way to some. So the emotion she is battling at that time, it's hard to think if you're really thinking all that straight towards the end of it. I don't think it was a bitterness vote against Charlie by any stretch of imagination. I don't think she's that type of person. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I do think that she completely voted with her heart during that decision. And I think she's also type that if she makes a decision, she's going to hold to it. I know that personality type. Once you make a decision, the last thing you're going to do is tell somebody you regret the decision. So you're going to build that wall around that, which is fine. But again, I think Charlie has every right to take it personally, and based completely on the fact that she said, and she didn't need to, I'm going to vote for you, get to the end. Like, oh my gosh. And especially, and Charlie even made note of that. He said, you know, the 3 people came up to him and said, hey, like, I voted for you. I voted for you. I voted for you. Then he's doing the math and he's like, wait, and Maria's not even talking to me right now. Like, kind of a low situation right there as well. So,
yeah, Maria would have had them do rock, paper, scissors if she had her way. Yep, I agree. We got Frank piping in here. We got Maria also showed out and said she did not change her vote when Jeff asked. She was always voting Charlie before Final Tribal. Yeah.
But and that's why you give that's why Tribal Council is so live. And you know, I think 4 jury members said that they were switching back and forth during that time. And Tevin even told Soda, I don't even know who I'm voting for. And they were done with that part of the show. Like it was the end. Yeah.
So asked by Jeff, who changed their vote at Final Tribal? And Maria said she did not change her vote. So maybe she was going into Final Tribal thinking on Kenzie. Now, the other thing that we don't ever see is what happens at Ponderosa, right? And how influenced she could have been by just hearing from the other people, talking to Liz. You know, now there's nothing between them. You know, they're both jurors and Tiffany's in there. I'm sure Tiffany was singing Kenzie's praises. And so maybe, you know, there were some things in there that changed Maria's opinion and what she wanted to do.
Then if that's true what Frank is saying, I have no reason to doubt Frank. I do remember somebody saying that, you know, when she started talking about how she was a mom and she never gets her, or no, she wants to raise a family and she's doing things for other people, that spoke to her as a female, spoke to her as somebody who also gives. And that's, from my understanding, that's when there was a change in mindset. But if this is true that she did not change her vote from pre-tribal, then yeah, then I'm at a loss.
Here's another thought. Maybe she was just playing the Charlie thing until it didn't serve her anymore, and she really didn't have the attachment that she led everyone to believe that she did, especially Charlie.
Right.
Hey, it's a game.
Yeah.
And you play the game to win the game. And if being partners with Charlie throughout this thing, and he was like, you know, if someone comes to you and who was the one that said Malcolm and Denise? Was that her or him?
Oh my gosh, we go back to day one, right? So then you start, brilliant, because you're talking about, okay, your relationship was founded on the fact that you two were similar to two other historical players in the game. So you base that reliance off that. You know, it's just like marrying somebody that you never were friends with to begin with, you know. It's a different relationship the whole way through. And then, I mean, you can become friends in that situation, but obviously, you know, 25 days is not enough. Imagine that for that. So I don't know who said, hey, we're these two people. It looked to me.
I'd have to look it up. But I mean, if Charlie was to say, you know, we could be like Malcolm and Denise, then Maria would be like, oh, like I could work with that. I could play that and ride that till the end, as long as it serves me. And oh my gosh, maybe deceive and lie. And well, I'm just saying it could happen.
She did say she didn't want to be the mother figure. And I think that they're, you know, now that the episode or the whole season has played out, you know, I can see why the editors kept that, because that was kind of like the conflict Maria was dealing with all season is, do I deceive? Do I fake a bond or not? But to me, also, you know, I don't know.
Well, look at Russell and what's her name now? I can't think of her name. Just
Natalie.
Like Natalie, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think Natalie liked Russell at all? No, it was a vehicle to the end. He was a vehicle to the end. It served her purpose. She was going to say and act and smile and be like, oh, yeah, Russell, you're the best. And I want to work with you. And I'm just going to, right? Like that played to her. Like that's no different than maybe what Maria and Charlie were. And we just didn't see it. And we were duped as much as Charlie was by the whole thing. Surprise, surprise. I mean, I'm just saying that could be, and good on Maria for figuring that out and taking advantage of that and riding that through. If that's what happened, you know, like the goal.
And I think that we're more,
whatever it takes.
I think we're more ticked off about it as fans. I'm not ticked off about it, but I think as a fandom, as a collection of Survivor lovers, that group is more ticked off about that mother-son relationship more than we were ever ticked off about Austin and his puppy dog love phase with Dee. Because, you know, people are okay with, you know, showmances exploding. When it comes to more of a paternal relationship, or like theirs was a maternal relationship, like theirs was, it's different. It kind of, you know, makes us a little angry that, you know, Mama Bear would do that to her cub. But I'm not mad about that. This is Survivor.
Yeah.
So.
What's the alligator say to the what is it? The rabbit? I'll take you across the river. Trust me.
Oh,
trust me.
I missed that nursery rhyme. Which one's that one?
Oh, the alligator says to the rabbit, you need to cross the river. I'll take you across. And he's like, no, you eat rabbits. Why would I trust you? And he's like, no, I promise. I'm your friend. I'll take you across the river. And they get halfway across the river and the alligator eats the rabbit. And it's like, the moral of the story is an alligator is an alligator, and that's their instinct. That's what they do.
I love watching alligators Survivor. I love it. I want 15 alligators and a couple crocodiles, man.
There you go. Hey, before we run out of time today, you guys have been amazing in the chat. I want to thank you, Frank and Brennan. So much great stuff in there. And did I forget anybody? I want to make sure that I get everyone that's been popping in. Before we move on to we're going to call The Tribe is Speaking just a little bit here. So this is from The Tribe Has Spoken. Brandon, you were great to pose a question, unpopular opinions, and I grabbed some screenshots of what people have said in there. You did let them know we were sharing it on the podcast, so I feel okay doing this. I'm going to share this. So our first one is from Scott Howard. He says, first, I'll say that I love the cast as people, and it's entertaining watching them. I think the final tribal was really lame. I'm happy for the winner and may have even chosen her as well. The reasoning was annoying. They voted because they think she's nice or because the money can help her salon, etc. The cast seems more childish and amateur these days. The criteria has changed since the earlier years. I liked it for that last part.
Yeah, and was that Scott? Was his name Scott?
Yep.
Scott, we told you one. That was called unpopular opinion. And yeah, I can't deal with 8 opinions at once. This is crazy. Which one do you want to hit on that one?
Well, I like the last part about it. I mean, yeah, I might have voted for Kenzie too. I wasn't upset that Kenzie won. I just thought Charlie had a better game. But if he didn't win, then he didn't have a better game, and Kenzie won, and that's fine. And it's just, I do like the outwit, outplay, outlast. I really want to see a well-rounded player win that can do all of the things, not just the social game, but can do all these other things. And I do agree with him when he said it feels like a very childish amateur group. I think that we did say at the beginning of this season that it was a younger crowd. It seemed very young. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think their reasoning and however they want to do it, they can do it. But I do think, yeah, I agree with him. I think it's very childish.
So far it's a popular opinion because we have Scott and Bree versus nobody right now. So I'm going to dissect this a little bit, and anybody that's chiming in, please vote your opinion on if you think this is a popular opinion, unpopular opinion, or you agree with this. I think dissecting a little bit, did they vote for her because she was nice? Man, it's hard because then you look at Ben and you're like, well, he's nice. Why didn't they go with him? I think Kenzie had more of a game than people give her credit for. She wasn't going to win a challenge. She knew that going into it. She survived more tribals than anybody else on this season. You know, what makes Denise a better player than Kenzie, right? Because Denise didn't win any, maybe 1 or 2 challenges. For Kenzie, you know, I think we should give her more credit for the Hunter situation. Hunter called her out and said she was the one who told me to keep my idol. Hunter keeps his idol. The whole game changes dramatically. He plays his idol. Guess what? That's going to give more people the confidence to play their idol to make sure that they have a good idol play. You know, I think Kenzie was the hourglass this season by stopping, you know, the first player with a idol and said, do not play this. She had that hairdresser trust mentality with everybody.
That's right.
So I will agree with Scott on the fact that when Q voted for her because she was going to do something better with the money, I don't like that. But again, they're the jury. I'm not. Maria, she should have probably voted Charlie based on what she told him. So yes, I agree that I didn't like how it played out. I will not agree on the fact that I thought it was a great tribal council, except for 1 or 2 people's thoughts. Is that fair?
There you go. Yeah. Yep. And Kenzie's a worthy winner. I think that we all can agree on that. I'm not mad about it. That's Survivor, my Survivor mantra from now on. Thanks to Brandon. I love that. I'm going to get to these really quick. I'm trying to get
happy because I bought him a bourbon burger. So he's going to give me all the praise in the
That's
world.
right. Good on Maria for not voting for her number 1. Has that ever happened in Survivor history? I don't know. That's a great question. We will look that up because that's pretty cool. And then when they are a favorite or threat to win, that is, yeah, exactly. We'll look at that, Frank. That's really cool. All right, I'm going to get to more of these. Yeah. I'm trying to get through because I do want to get to one more thing after this. I believe they shouldn't reveal the winner on the island. Let's go back to an actual reunion show. This is also from Scott. I'm somebody who does not want to be spoiled, and these players are running around on social media giving hints and winks, etc. 2 things in that as well. Do we think that we should have it on the island?
I think we both agree that we want the reunion show back. Now, does that mean we want the result of the season back as well? because that's a different question. And oh my gosh, I was such a fan of, you know, the first time they did it on the island, when they're like, we're gonna announce the winner now, and there was actually a winner. And I know that with Wendell and Dominic, they did read the votes there because there was a tie, so you can do it there. But when 41 had the whole like, we're going to do it here, that was a huge like, oh my gosh, like we're going to find out right now. And you kind of saw it in their eyes, and I'm still getting, you know, what's it called?
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps, yeah, from the whole thing, just thinking about it. But I think, you know, we don't get that moment anymore. We know it's going to happen. We know they're going to announce it then. So I say do it at the reunion show. I'm not hell-bent on it, but bring the reunion show back and read them at the reunion show. Your thoughts, Brie?
I like it. I like a reunion show. I just do. I think it's, you know, they don't know who's won. They don't give away hints and all these other things that you could kind of tell where this vote was going to go. You know, they might already kind of know because they can talk to each other in the off season before it airs. But yeah, I miss the reunion show. So
and another part of that too is I think when you allow them to speak at the reunion show, anymore with as much social media as there is out there, we're all hearing different things. So I may have heard 15 thoughts on Maria and 7 thoughts from Liz, and you may have heard 18 thoughts from Ben and 1 from Venus. And we can't compare notes and be like, oh, we heard the same thing. So what a reunion show does is allows everybody on one platform, and you can't do that anymore with social media, but at that time, you wait for everybody else to get over everything. Then they can, I think, best articulate what took place, rather than, you know, still being the heavy emotions of being on the island. So I think you get more clarity.
Still, we've been starving for whatever days. Yeah.
Right. You get more clarity. And again, like if you're sitting there and you've been deceiving for 21 days, I think it's going to be habitually more difficult for you to tell the truth, even if you're at the, you know, even if you're out of the game, because you're still stuck in that game mentality. So you're trying to figure out what the best way to say things are. I think on a reunion show, you're like, all right, no, this is what it was. This is what it was.
Exactly. I want to shift gears here. I love this. I know it's a little, for some reason it blew up really big. Elaine says Venus was misunderstood. Ooh. And I gotta show the response to this because I love this response. Venus misunderstood everything around her.
Which is not an unpopular opinion.
No.
That's hard, right? Because you even saw at the very beginning when Soda, you know, took away the famous Soda, taking away the idol and letting everybody else celebrate with Venus. So I do think that perhaps she wasn't given the ability to be understood, but that doesn't mean that she made it difficult for people to truly understand her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think people, you know, here's the thing. You can say, oh, I misunderstood. But if you are repeatedly saying, I'm so misunderstood, you're now playing the victim. And you instead need to look at yourself and say, my messaging sucks because no one's understanding me. It may not be their problem. It might be a me problem. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's the same reason why all of us were just sick and tired of Liz in the background saying, oh my gosh, like they screwed up my move. But the difference between Venus and Liz is Venus said those things publicly, it seemed, to a lot of people. Liz was really good about keeping tight-lipped, and it's why she went on further than Venus did. And I think it's why people didn't view her complaining as annoying, because they never really heard the strategy part until she said, I would have beaten all of you. And then that's when Venus gave the
eye roll. Well, because it's Venus, and that, you know, and she wanted that moment. She maybe knew that the cameras would catch it, and then like that would be shown a million times and it'd be a GIF. And she was like, I'm all about that. You never know what people are doing. They, you know, they're aware that there's cameras. So I do want to wrap the show up here with a few final thoughts on a couple things. Start with Liz. I think she was the one that was misunderstood. I don't think we saw all of Liz's greatness. She is actually a really, really amazing human and does have a successful business, but she is a single mom. I don't know why she thought the whole I'm a millionaire lie would be the thing to share, but she did. It was her mistake. She realizes that. But I do think there was a lot of Liz that we didn't see on the show.
And I applaud her for playing outside the box and giving me a brand new type of Survivor player. I mean, that's what she was. I can't think of anybody else who was like her. Bitch, you could select pieces of different people and be like, okay, this is a list. But it's a buffet of people. It's not like one other person where she played her game because she wanted to be like this person. No one has ever said, hey, I'm a millionaire. It wasn't a millionaire. No one ever, got as vocal as she did during an reward challenge, and she did. No one ever has ran back to get a piece. She did. So I think she's definitely a maverick on Survivor, and I really enjoyed looking at everything. I really enjoyed having Liz on the season. And Jeff even said that. Did you see that one where Jeff said, "Hey,
he loved her."
Yeah, when I zoomed Liz, I wrote down, I love her. She's unique. She needs to be on the show. She did. She did.
Yeah, I think she did make great TV. I loved it when she freaked out at camp or at the challenge and when she didn't get the reward, because I feel like that's what everyone is already saying. They're like, they are pissed when they don't get chosen. You could see it in their face. She just had the balls to get out there and actually say it out loud and let her emotions get the better of her. And it was raw, true, it was real. And I didn't get pissed about that. I was, I thought that was great TV, and it was great on Liz to share how she was truly feeling. So, and Liz is must see TV. And Frank said that millionaire strategy worked too well, got no votes, and probably no vote in a final 3. Yep. Because if you've been saying you're a millionaire all along, and then you go to say, no, I'm actually not a millionaire at the end, that's not gonna bode well. We have 3 minutes left. I've got to get to this. It's something that I saw, and it's about Ben. He said, I didn't get a chance to tell my story. So my question to you and to our viewers is, do you think they should bring back the 1.5 or 2 minute letting the final 3 tell their story? Because they've taken that out. They go right into questions. So we don't let them present like we used to see them go, okay, Kenzie, you're up. And she can be like, well, my game was about this. And this was what I was trying to do. And this is the way things went for me. And these are the things that I wanted to do. And they get that first introduction that they get to say what they did. And now they don't have that anymore. They go right into the jury asking them questions and having to prove what they did. Do you think that we need to bring that back? Because I think it would have given Ben a chance to tell a little bit about what he did and maybe surprise them. And also Charlie, because he got cut off a lot.
But they did get the chance to just kind of say, hey, what's your final thoughts? Do you have anything else to share? So there could have been a place where Ben tells a story, because I think there's been a couple seasons where somebody executed that question very well. And it kind of was the moment where you heard the music building up and be like, okay, this person's going to win. We're going to tell you they're going to win before we even count the votes, type thing. I think if you can't answer that, two things. I think if you can't answer or tell your story in the 15 questions you're about to be asked, then that's on you. And 2, if no one asks you the question, hey, what was your story? They probably don't care about your story, and that's not going to determine their vote. So I think that they still give the jury enough bandwidth to ask kind of whatever question they want. And if you're not asking it, you're either a poor jury person and you were put there by those people, or you really don't care. And so maybe it's best we don't hear your story. Was he talking about he wanted to prove why he should have won? Or does he say he didn't get to tell a story? They didn't show his story on the show.
Because nobody asked him questions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Usually when there is a goat or whatever you want to call them at the end, the one person that isn't going to get any votes, pretty much. Yeah. You're leaning between these two, and that person's an afterthought, that they don't get the questions. They don't get the opportunity to really, because they'll be like, this question is for Kenzie. This question is for Charlie. I want the 2 of you to answer this, right? And so they don't get as much opportunity to tell their story.
And I think we have seen so many people fall on their sword as that third place person, that they see the narrative going to the two other people, that they would rather fall on their sword than try to explain it. But again, like, and I understand that, because I might do that. I might think, okay, like, obviously I'm not going to win. Like, I'm just going to sit here and just watch this. But there's got to be something in you by that time that says, give it your all. Not ignore somebody, but speak over somebody, be a little bit louder. And there's such thing as being too loud, right? There's as being, belligerent and taken over. But I think he could have been more assertive, and Ben's not an assertive guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's not. Well, we had lots of opinions and lots of help from our chat. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us today. We are going to take a little bit of a break. I'm not sure if we'll be on every week for the next couple of weeks. I know we've got vacations going on and life has been getting really, really busy, but we won't be off the entire summer. We're going to come at you with special looks at different things. We're going to be talking about past seasons. We're going to be talking about the upcoming season 50. And of course, Survivor Australia, US versus Australia, because that is high on our minds. And so we'd love to hear from you. Please leave comments in this, in the chat, in the comment section on YouTube. We want to know, what do you want to talk about? What are the things that are important to you as we ramp up for the next season? So thank you to everyone. Can't wait for next season and all these future videos. Thank you, Brennan. You've been a wonderful supporter. We want to thank everyone that's been here throughout the last 2 seasons and in Australia. We love having you guys here. We really appreciate all your opinions and your questions. Bring them on. Bring them more. Brandon, thank you for being so much of a part of this show. We love it. Alex is not here, but we'll thank him as well. He's
absolutely. And I want to stop you. I'm going to be assertive and say, Bree, you're the one who put all this together. I think, at least, you're the one who contacted me, and you wrote, came up with the graphics and the ideas behind half the stuff we do here. So thank you so much for your assertiveness in my Survivor life. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited for next. Thank you, Brennan. I love it. I love this. This is the best part of my week, is when I get to talk Survivor and hang out with everyone here. And we really, really appreciate you and appreciate all your kind words and support. We will see you as soon as we can, probably in the next couple of weeks. Take care. Go watch another season of Survivor and let us know which one we should watch next, because I want to go back to old school. Bye, everybody.
Bye.